Welcome to Own the Chaos. The stock market is crazy and chaotic.
And crash. You son
Oh, God. Hold on. Pause.
Brad and Fat Man Zoom are here to help you own it.
They were targeting Wall Street when they should have been targeting Capitol Hill. They should have been targeting DC. This is the same thing, and this is what people keep missing.
Taking it to the suits, being relatable and hilarious.
You bought GameStop at 400, didn't you? To the moon, baby. To the moon.
Get ready to own the chaos in 3, 2, 1.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Own the Chaos. My name is Brad. That is Fat Man Zoom. The stock market is crazy and chaotic. And we made it our mission to help you own it. What's up, Fat Man Zoom? Let's hit him with the starting five.
All right, starting five, we have Rudy Brown, Arfin, Mysterious Gal, Livraj, and Sean Ether. You are our starting five. Congratulations, friends.
What's up, my man?
Nothing. Nothing, man. Just another sea of red. My God.
Yeah, it's pretty tough out there, which is crazy, right? Because the major indices are green.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of feeling it, though, because the majority of the stocks that are in the indices are actually down. It's just some highly weighted stocks that are actually carrying the markets higher, which Apple being one of them, and has just been ripping all-time highs yet again today.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been looking good. I mean, it's been a nice move. What is it up, like 5% this week or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's had a nice little move. Looking good, looking strong. We talked about the Apple news yesterday. Should continue to truck along and do well, be a nice little steady gainer.
Yeah.
It's not going to be your 20% move. It's not going to be your huge volatile move type stock, but it'll be consistent, and before you know it, you'll be up 15% in your account if you're just patient.
I think I could count on one hand how many red days Apple's had in the last 4 weeks. Which
Maybe.
is pretty wild.
Yeah. Yeah, it's had a good little run. I mean, it was beaten down for sure, so it was due for a comeback. Rudy Brown said that's his only win today. I know for a lot of us.
Yeah.
I think only 2 stocks in my portfolio are green. It's like, I want to say it's Delta and Apple maybe. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's man, it's been particularly tough for me because I hit a nice milestone on my account. I doubled my account. Well, I shouldn't say doubled because I also was adding. But anyways, I had $10,000 on my public account, and then ever since then, it's like just been a slow death.
Yeah.
And these two days were tough. I've been moving a little bit, like strategizing a little bit because I felt good, but then I unintentionally got a little bit too heavy and speculative.
Yeah.
So I put some stops in, a couple stops in, have some ideas to straighten that out. But largely, I'm really not doing anything and nothing. I don't think I've traded out of anything. I've just put my stops in to make sure that, like, if specs keep going down, I'm going to get out of it. But I will say it could be a lot worse because if you remember, I think like 3 weeks ago, I trimmed a lot of stuff. I said stop on all the stuff that's green. And so, like, I was looking at, like, ChargePoint, for example. It's down, like, 30% off its highs. And, like, I sold right after that. So I would have been down. I would have given back. I was up 50%, I think. I would have given back 25%. So it's all how you look at it because, obviously, I'm giving stuff back.
Right.
But if I wouldn't have set those stops, I would have given back a ton of gains.
Yeah, I mean, and you had a ton of cash coming into July, too.
Yeah.
Which gave you, plenty of firepower to kind of buy the dip on a lot of the stuff. And we talked about that. We talked about July being very choppy, and it's just going to continue to be this way. We're only halfway through the month, folks, and it's been rough. It's been brutal for sure, but it hasn't changed anything as far as how we feel about the markets and all that good stuff. We're going to get into that in a little bit as well.
Let's do the thumbnail pose off.
Let's do it.
All right.
What you got?
We could do this one together. Should you be worried about inflation? Maybe. Maybe not. I almost feel like you should be happy, I should be scared. Here's one. All right, no, we'll go solo. So here's one for you.
Okay.
Camera 2. 3 stops, I'm buying the dip. Put the 3 a little bit more sideways so I can see it. All right. And Huge Tesla news. All right, that's good. Is it, all right, so here's mine. Is it time to buy Coinbase?
Ooh.
Is it time?
How about that topic?
And for airline stocks to thrive for the rest of 2020.
What is that? You make a little butterfly?
It's a bird, but it's a plane. Everybody will know what this is except the people working.
Just do the
I was worried.
Angle it.
I was worried I had some sweaty pits.
Oh, there you go.
All right, that's what we got today, guys. Whew. Looking forward to it. I don't know if I'm going to do the Tesla huge news, but maybe I will. Maybe I'll save it. We'll see. But nonetheless, we have a lot of good topics to discuss. Let me get this out of the way. I had two earnings coming into this morning, Delta and Bank of America. We'll talk about Delta, but God, Bank of America, you dog.
They shit the bed big time.
Yeah. And I felt like the bar was kind of low, so it wasn't going to be that hard. Like, I don't love Bank of America. We still really like Goldman Sachs. You know, I probably like JP Morgan a little bit better than Bank of America. But, man, I just was playing the fact that I thought they were going to actually, like, be able to get above the low-ass bar that was set. So, what a disappointment. That's the one I said to stop in. When I stop out, I stop out.
Right.
What a dog. I am without a word in IPOF. I don't know what that means, Jeff. But IPOF just sits around $10 unless it dropped down further.
Jessica Hernandez likes our thumbnail poses. Looks like she's new, so welcome to the Chaos Crew, by the way.
Yes, sir. Level 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple people got into Airbnb. I'm just looking at what people were talking about in general.
Yeah.
Man, Rocket. We haven't talked about Rocket in a while. That sucker is like below $18.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, I bought some more stuff today, so
What'd you buy?
I bought more OIH.
Okay.
And I got my eye on actually adding to Airbnb, even though I have a lot of leverage in it.
Yeah.
It just seems like it's just ridiculous right now where it's at.
Well, so, and this could probably lead into the inflation topic, but like before getting into all that, like, we've had 2 bad days. Like as far as like, obviously the overall market was green, but like you said, it's over leveraged. Most people's accounts are probably, it's fair to say, seeing red.
Yeah.
And I'm not seeing necessarily any confirmation yet. What do you, are you added to OAH, like, what are your sentiments for the rest of the week? And do you plan on just waiting, or do you think you got an eye on some stuff to get in tomorrow?
Well, today, one of the big reasons OIH ended up falling, and olive oil ended up falling a little bit, was because of the OPEC deal that went through. And, they basically are increasing output of oil, increasing supply, essentially, which, basic economics, right? Supply goes up, demand goes down. But I don't know if that's really the case. I think they're just increasing supply to almost keep up with demand because it's so high at this point. I mean, we just saw incredible numbers from Delta. And, I think that that's just going to be the theme. Just because we're increasing supply on oil doesn't necessarily, or at least the Saudis are increasing. This isn't us as the U.S., but, internationally, they're increasing oil supply. I don't think that that's going to necessarily impact anything. I mean, I think if when it comes down to it, the amount that they're injecting or they're supplying, I think it's an additional 400,000 barrels. Mm-hmm. And so it's not necessarily even enough to really make a dent compared to the kind of demand that we're seeing for oil and energy in general.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say, and I think people were waiting for the other shoe to drop as far as oil was concerned. So I think that's maybe the reason why a little bit of an overreaction.
Yeah.
But I would agree. Like, I don't think there's any reason to be fearful or want to necessarily get out. Potentially a good ad for you. So that's good. So let's get into it. What do you want to start with? Do you want to start with your top stocks, or you want to talk about inflation?
Yeah, so let's start with inflation, because I think that'll be a good segue into what I'm buying the dip on.
Yeah.
So in case you guys haven't heard, Jay Powell actually is talking with lawmakers right now, basically just kind of going over the same thing that we've said all along about how there's still issues with getting the economy back up and running. And a lot of people are arguing that inflation is still going to become a serious issue. And so that's why we're seeing a lot of choppiness right now, right? I mean, we're looking at, we saw the CPI numbers for the month of June. They're up 5.4% from this time last year. And so expectations were around 5%. And some people are still trying to spin this narrative that inflation is going to see, we're going to see this just like we saw the 70s. And the people that are saying this are the people that lived through the 70s. So I think they're just having some PTSD about the whole thing. And it makes no sense. You would think they'd just look at the numbers and really understand that the things that are going up in price aren't going to do that forever. And I mentioned yesterday, I talked about this, about how car sales have gone up 10%. That made up a third of the CPI numbers that we saw yesterday. A third. I mean, that's insane. And if anybody thinks that the used car sales are going to stay this high, they are also insane, Fat Man Zoom. So I think that, while people are reacting to these CPI numbers and think that inflation is just going to run rampant because the Fed's not doing anything, it doesn't make any sense to me when you break the numbers down. I mean, as I said, you look at the inflation numbers, and a third of it's made up by used car sales. You take out food and oil or energy costs, and the CPI numbers comes in at 4.5%. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, food costs are going to come down. A lot of this stuff is just temporary until we catch up on supply, and that's really what it boils down to. This is basic economics. It's not really anything that's going to cause serious long-term issues. Once we get people back to work and get jobs going, the supply issues are going to go away, and that's what Jay Powell's been talking about today and for the last 6 months. It seems like every time they want to fight him, there's statistics and information that proves him right. And when we saw the non-farm payrolls roll in last week, just kind of continues to prove his narrative that things are moving a little bit slower than a lot of people might think, especially when it comes to the job, filling the jobs side of things. And so, I don't know, I just think that this is nothing but noise at this point, and it makes zero sense as to why anybody would be selling any of their equities. Who knows, for the foreseeable futures. I just don't know why you would want to sell at this point.
Yeah, we've mentioned this a couple times, and I think that we've talked sort of ad nauseum about that, and especially the fears around when Jerome talks. He's stayed pretty consistent. So let's get right into then, if you're the belief that inflation is nothing to worry about or not a big concern, then this is an opportunity for you. And what are you looking at because of that opportunity?
Yeah, so I'm looking at the chart right now, or I'm looking at I had a couple of things pulled up, and a lot of things are down today. So I, for one, I'm a big fan of Tom Lee. You guys know that I've talked about Tom Lee on here of FundStrat, and he has labeled a lot of these epicenter stocks. He's kind of coined that phrase. Stocks that have been beaten down because of the pandemic, they had a huge down day today, and I think that there's some really good opportunities on some of these stocks that are companies that are going to benefit from a reopening, and they're going to benefit once we get through this inflation issue as well. Yeah. You look at the chart here, Penn National comes to mind, and I know that everybody thinks that or everybody who's followed this channel knows that we love Penn National, but I was speaking about this once it broke this trend here on Penn that we could potentially see $66 a share, and I was not going to stray away from this. I was going to continue to, I guess, sit through the storm, what have you, weather the storm on this. And so it's coming down to that $66 mark, and I think that if it holds this and we start to see buying return around $66, this looks like a really good opportunity to either add or even start a position on Penn National. It's come down now over 50% from its highs. It makes no sense as to why this is selling off. We just got done talking about last week about how sporting events have really started to turn around or really started to ramp up. We talked about the Euro Cup. We talked about tennis. We talked about all kinds of stuff that was going on over the weekend. The NBA Finals are going on as well. And so I think that this is a huge opportunity. Penn National isn't just about sports betting either, even though people like to equate DraftKings as a direct competitor. It's not. They also have regional casinos as well. And this is why Penn was beaten down so much over the pandemic, not because of the sports betting side, but just because of the casino side. They've acquired a casino here in Maryland. Mm-hmm. They also are opening one up in Pennsylvania, in Harrisburg, which we might actually go visit. So I think that there's York, sorry. Yep. And so I think that there's lots of opportunity here for Penn to continue to go up. I just think it's extremely overvalued. You look at the RSI again on the chart, oversold is an understatement here. So I like Penn National a lot here as well. And then there's Airbnb. I mentioned this earlier about Airbnb looking like a potential add here as well. It's coming down and resting at that 139 support. And so this seems like another instance in which we could look at this and argue that it is oversold. Travel is coming back with a vengeance, Fat Man Zoom. And I think when you look at something like Airbnb, we've tried to just book, places to stay when we were traveling, and it's next to impossible to find any vacancies. So the unbelievable demand, travel's coming back, and I just don't know why people are not understanding what's going on here. So I think we take advantage of the panic. Airbnb definitely looks like a good buy to me as well. And then, again, CrowdStrike, we talked about CrowdStrike yesterday. This is a perfect opportunity to potentially add to CrowdStrike. It is actually sold off considerably today, coming down to retest that 250 mark. And we talked about that earlier in the week, that 250 could be a potential area of support. It broke through that 257 that we talked about today. Or yesterday, and CrowdStrike looks like a really, really great buy here. If it tests 250 and holds that area, we start to see confirmation coming in and buying return at that 250 mark. I think that could be a reasonable area to consider either taking a position or adding to if it holds that support. So I like those three: Penn National, CrowdStrike, and Airbnb. Obviously, CrowdStrike we've talked about at length as far as the ransomware issues that's been going on.
Yeah.
So demand on all three of these is sky high, and the stocks are selling off. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I love these calls. I think they're definitely ones to keep an eye on, ones that have been frequent flyers in our watch list. And if you guys want access to our watch list, guys, we give out a watch list every morning before the market opens with 5 stocks that we're watching. We give you fundamental breakdown, technical breakdown. If you want to check out our 5 stocks, click on the description, the link in the description, and you'll get access to that. I highly recommend it. I heard it's a pretty good watch list, just saying. Speaking of frequent flyers, speaking of travel coming back, let's get right into Delta Airlines. I want to give you guys 4 stocks that I'm really bullish on. 2, I think, one's going to blow your mind, one's going to surprise you. I think 2 of them are going to be like, oh, that's kind of surprising, and one particularly, I think you guys might be like, what? Batman Zoom? So let's first talk about Delta earnings and how this plays into what I'm going to give you. Make sure you stick around for that. But Delta Airlines reported earnings this morning. I am a holder of Delta Airlines. I took a position in it because I wanted to play earnings, really the lead up into earnings and really the travel demand, international travel demand coming back because it had lagged. Talk to you guys about all that stuff. They outperformed. They've missed 4 quarters in a row, so I was a little bit nervous, but they beat. Earnings per share estimates were $1.38, a loss of $1.38. They came in at a loss of $1.07, which was great. Revenue beat estimates were $6.22 billion. They came in at $7.13 billion. But let me talk to you about a couple things to consider with the earnings call. One is, the bear case could be there was federal aid included in the earnings. Potentially you could say that. The other bear case is the CEO talked about how these numbers were, this past quarter was 43% lower than the same quarter in 2019. That's a legitimate bear case.
Right.
And the next, so we'll stop there. So those are 2 big things. Obviously, the bear case can also be international travel. Now, if we talk about the bull case and we talk about the market being a forward-looking vessel, I am going to try to compel you that actually a lot of these same things that may look bearish on the surface are actually very bullish, and why I added to it. And I added pretty substantially to it after earnings today. So one thing is international travel. International travel will open up, and I don't know if, is there any doubt that international travel is going to crush it?
No, yes.
So what the CEO also said was domestic travel was to pre-pandemic levels. So all that means is the reason we're down is due to international travel. And I think that's going to more than make up for the losses from 2019, comparatively to 2019. Domestic is going to continue to grow. You add international to that, I don't think there's going to be any issue that it's going to beat it. So for example, I mentioned the 43% down from the same quarter in 2019. Well, they're expecting next quarter for it to be about 30 to 35% down. So you're moving in the right direction. You're moving towards profitability, which the CEO already also mentioned. All those things are good signs. And I believe that 30% down over 2019, I think that's pretty conservative. I think that's just really expecting international restrictions to still be high. Once international restrictions are lifted, this thing's going to go off. Numbers are going to be through the roof. So I'm excited about that. I will say right now, if I'm looking through the end of the year, so these are my top airline stocks through the end of the year, I will put Delta Airlines at pole position. It was hard for me to pick number one. Number two is Southwest, and I think you can flip either one. The only reason I'll say that is because Southwest has already been running, and I think that you can't go wrong either way. I just think there's more upside for Delta.
Yeah.
In regards to that, so one or two, they're both going to be monsters through the end of the year. I think they're going to do well. Number three, airline stock to buy for the rest of the year is going to be Spirit Airlines. Similarly, basically Spirit is a younger Southwest, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You've talked about break-even load factor.
Yes.
And so Southwest wins in that front. But I do think that Spirit's going to continue to dominate. And I think from a domestic perspective, I think there's room for both of them. And I actually think that Southwest is kind of moving away to like a low-cost airline. I think they still provide a lot of conveniences, right? You can cancel, there's no change fees. But when I look at the pricing, it's not as low as it used to be. So it seems to me, and warranted enough, it seems to me that that's a good move for them. So there's this void for low-cost airlines that I think Spirit slides right in.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with the Spirit Airlines side of things too. We've seen this make huge moves in the past, especially in the height of the pandemic when a lot of people were getting into some of the airline stocks. And this one was one, I guess, that you could say had that feeling of a meme stock to a certain degree, but for good reason. Now, I will say, out of all of these, Fatmans, I mean, we've talked about our favorite being Southwest. Southwest is the only one that's actually holding the 200-day moving average. You look at Southwest, this purple line is represented by the 200-day, and it's holding that line rather well. Delta Airlines is below that, and so is Spirit Air Systems. So from a technical standpoint, Southwest still looks like it's a good one, but all of these look like they are approaching oversold territory, and I think that these are all going to be pretty relatively decent buys. Once we get through July and all the noise that's been created by inflation and stuff, and people start realizing, hey, these earnings are actually knocking it out of the park and the economy is doing better than we thought, I think that these airline stocks, the travel stocks in general, are just going to absolutely crush it.
So my number 4 stock is going to, I think, shock you. It's in consideration of potentially international exposure.
Can I guess it?
Yeah, go ahead.
American Airlines.
No.
Ooh, okay.
An international stock, so it's an international airline.
That's American Airlines.
Where is it based out of?
American Air. Oh, you mean like it's based out of the U.S.? Okay.
Yeah.
Because they fly in.
So like Baba is an international stock. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's Ryanair.
Oh,
RYAAY.
British company, right?
Yeah. And this is basically the Southwest of Europe. They fly all over Europe. And here's why I say it. Now, the argument will say is there's not a ton of volume, but it's a very reliable airline, probably internationally well, I'm going to back off that. But basically, just think of Southwest for the European Union.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say this is because when you're traveling around Europe, I anticipate a similar move that's happening in the U.S. I think a lot of Europeans are going to stay within Europe. They're going to travel internationally, but I think there's going to be a European boom in the EU. And I think, and Ryanair is going to benefit off of that. WestJet, if you guys are familiar with European airlines, Ryanair is really the top dog. WestJet is pretty popular.
Yeah.
But they're affordable airlines. Once you get a lot of flights land in the UK, land in London or Heathrow or whatever. They usually go there to somewhere else. So Ryanair serves all of the European Union. This is one that's like way off the map, but we talk about diversification of portfolio. This could be one if you're like, you know what, I want like a non-US stock, I want an international stock, one to consider.
Yeah, this is great. This is a great one. One that kind of like flies under the radar.
I see what you did.
I like this one a lot, and I stand corrected. It is Irish. Some of our folks from across the pond are clarifying that for us, so I appreciate that, keeping us honest. But yeah, man, I think that we could see domestic travel.
Isn't Great Britain British?
I do not want to get into that argument.
And then Great Britain is on an island is in Great Britain.
I think I said. Did I say Britain or UK?
You said British.
Okay, British. I don't know if I want to get in that argument. Some people who are Scottish will argue that.
Well, I'm asking. I'm not debating. I'm just curious.
Oh, okay.
I want to make sure we're saying correct, because I thought British encompassed. Well, I guess Great Britain. Okay, UK and Great Britain are different things. You guys can clarify for us. Sorry. Go ahead.
But this is actually one that's been hugging along the 200-day moving average as well. So I mean, even technically, as long as it holds here, I think it's probably going to be in good shape too. And really, I think that domestic travel from the European side is going to be probably just as much in high demand as it is on the U.S. side, especially because we heard recently that Prime Minister of the U.K. Boris Johnson said that the Delta variant or not, they're opening back up. Things are opening back up. It's going to be a thing. So as long as everything opens back up and demand's still there for them too, it's going to be just as strong. And revenge spending is going to take place just as much there as it is here. So, yeah, man, I think that this is going to probably do really well too.
So there you guys have it. My top 4 airline stocks. I think you need to consider airline stocks in general. I think it's time, if you haven't already. I think it's a little bit of a sleeper and not talk that much. UK is Britain, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. Okay, I got it. All right, guys. Sorry, Oliver Thorpe said he's flying Ryanair to Greece on Saturday.
Oh, nice.
Enjoy that. All right, the next topic I want to discuss.
Stock market is closed, guys. Just want to let you know it is officially 4 o'clock Eastern time. The S&P closed at up slightly at 4.1%. That was up 44 points, and the Nasdaq was just barely green. So pretty flat on the day as far as the indexes were concerned. But as you guys know, most of those stocks were down on the day.
All right, so guys, I think it's time to buy Coinbase. I think it's time. So, Aunt Kathy.
Hit me with it.
Aunt Kathy sells NVIDIA. Aunt Kathy sells Shopify. Now, let me first say, don't get caught up in the headlines, because I read that, like sells NVIDIA, which may not be a bad move given what we're going to talk about on Sunday, the stock split's coming up.
Yeah.
But you know what? It actually doesn't matter, because she sold like 600 shares of it. 600,000 shares. Like it was, sorry, what was it? $600,000 worth of shares.
I was going to say 600,000 shares. God damn.
Which is literally nothing as far as NVIDIA is concerned. Yeah. Now, she did sell a substantial portion of Shopify. Nonetheless, though, she had sold 24 million shares of Shopify, so maybe there's something there, but that's not what matters. What matters is that she added to Coinbase again. She's been adding, she continues to add, shows her conviction. ARK and ARKW are the two funds that two ETFs that she has that they're in. She got 28,000 shares, $7 million worth of Coinbase, which is basically like, when you think about how long Coinbase has been IPO'd, which has been a very short time. What has it been, like a month and a half maybe?
It's been since April, I think.
Okay.
So yeah, April 14th.
All right, so 3 months. 3 months. ARKW has, Coinbase takes up the number 8 spot. So it's already in the top 10 of their ARKW, which is big. $200 million worth of Coinbase, 4% of that portfolio, which is a lot for her ETFs. RK, she has nearly $1 billion worth of Coinbase. It's the number 7 holding, over 4% in RK. I think by the end of the year, Coinbase will take up probably the number 3 spot, top 3 in that portfolio. Just speaks to the conviction. And so when we talk about where the attention lies, when we talk about not many people are talking about crypto. It's kind of settling out, maybe leaking a little bit. I think that the attention is going to go back there. And something you talked about earlier this week, which was essentially brokerages and new accounts that had opened. And you talked about Robinhood accounts that opened and really traders, like more traders coming into the market. I think the same thing speaks true to brokerage, to Coinbase and crypto.
Yeah.
Those same people, I would imagine, that start a Robinhood account are the spec ones that are trying to get the big wins. Those are the same people that want to benefit off the gains of crypto. The same people talk about Reddit stocks and meme stocks are looking for that same action in Coinbase. So for that reason, I think it's time for me to consider not getting in right away, not just jumping in, but consider an entry in Coinbase or at minimum ARK-K. I really like the exposure when you look at ARK-K and what it has.
Yeah.
I really like the exposure to it.
I think that I definitely like the idea of getting into ARK-K. Looking at Coinbase, it's done nothing but downtrend since it IPO'd, but you make a pretty compelling argument as far as, I really like the argument you made as far as people piling into Robinhood and just having their exposure to cryptocurrency. Some of you might say, well, Robinhood has exposure to cryptocurrency as well, but not to the degree that Coinbase does. You can buy pretty much whatever you want as far as cryptocurrency is concerned through Coinbase, Binance, those types of platforms. You're very limited on platforms like Robinhood unless you just want exposure to Bitcoin, in which case you wouldn't even actually own it either. It's essentially paper money. And we'll get into that conversation later, but you actually would be owning Bitcoin through Coinbase or Binance or something like that versus something like a Robinhood or even Webull for that matter. So definitely a good argument there, Fat Man Zoom, and it's interesting to see that she's been scooping this up. Now we know Aunt Kathy is not really a technician. Mm-hmm. She doesn't really pay attention to the charts. Yeah. It's more or less the fundamentals, and that's it. So her timing of the market isn't good, but her time in the market is fantastic. So keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, well, let's be clear, her timing of the market isn't a factor in her decision making at all.
Correct. Yeah.
It's like when we have these Warren Buffett conversations, you're literally putting a comparison onto something that like you don't compare. Like,
yeah,
that's not how, like, we can't use our tools to compare to her strategy because it literally is a zero consideration. It's not like, okay, let's wait till it gets to the support. That's not the conversation in ARK.
So what about you then? So how are you taking the approach to Coinbase?
I mean, I guess when I look at the chart, I don't really see it the way you do. Like, so what is that, the daily?
Yeah.
So like, let's just take out today where everything got hammered. If I was looking at this chart, not looking at today, I'm not just necessarily gonna get in now, but I actually am not that concerned about it. Like, it's relatively been sideways since its lows. So to me, I think this pullback may be a good opportunity for asymmetrical trade. The only problem is I'm just too speculative right now. So I got to clean some things up. I got to look at, okay, does Coinbase to me have higher upside than something else? I'd probably still wait till after earnings, but I think that it's presenting a great asymmetrical trade opportunity. And, this with everything that we talk about speculative, just got to scale in. So I might just get a taste just to start right before earnings and maybe get that run.
Yeah.
But I'm going to wait for right around earnings time to decide what I want to do. And as long as it stays above the 52-week lows, I'm not too worried about it because it seems to be, kind of settling out.
Yeah. I like it. I mean, I like the plan, and I like the analysis you gave to Coinbase. I think there's definitely some compelling arguments and good reasons as to why you might want to own it all the way down here.
I got a bonus topic that you don't know about.
What you got?
We need to buy Tesla. If you're not in Tesla, I'm talking to you. I'm not talking to the people out there. If you're not in Tesla, you need to buy Tesla.
Well, I mean, I have Tesla in my other accounts.
Publicly traded account.
Okay.
That's what we talk about. Do you have it in there?
I do not.
You need to buy it.
What do I need to sell in order to buy it?
I don't know, but ask why, and maybe I can convince you.
I can give you a list of the stocks that I'm in, and you can tell me what I need to sell to buy Tesla.
Well, let me tell you why. And I think that you could potentially be compelled to sell whatever you have in there. Do you know why I'm so adamant that you need to buy Tesla tomorrow? Maybe even now after hours.
Why?
Do you know what's coming up?
Well, other than earnings, no.
AI Day.
Oh, yeah, AI Day. Yeah, correct.
So on June 22nd, Elon Musk tweeted, or I believe it was June 21st. Elon Musk tweeted that AI Day will happen within a month or so, quote unquote. That was nearly a month ago, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I think that it will be announced within the next 2 weeks that AI Day is coming up. And we've seen this with these. We saw it with Battery Day. What was it the year before? I can't remember offhand.
It was the
Autonomous driving?
Yeah. Was it?
No.
It was something with robo-taxis. It was along those lines, yeah.
The hype. And so in general, Tesla's been showing up technically pretty good. And so I think we're going to hear about an announcement on AI Day. And I think because it's specifically AI and that's such an awesome topic and people are going to be speculating what he's talking about, I think YouTube's going to be nuts on Tesla. I think analysts are going to be bullish on speculating on Tesla. And I think the money is in the move leading up to AI Day, sell off afterwards potentially.
So historically, after Tesla announces car sales, the stock moves up 15% or more. And that's like over the last eight or 9 quarters. Leading up into something like that, there definitely could be excitement too. I don't know how much of a good example Battery Day is because it was terrible.
Yeah.
The stock reacted terribly. But I have
Before
been...
or after?
After.
Yeah.
After Battery Day. I don't remember what it did before Battery Day.
Well, it ran up, but it was also during the stock split.
Right.
It had like a 30% run.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that there's definitely cases that could be made to be buying this up. I mean, it's come back down to 650 area after it was already up to 680, and it has been very, very choppy, pretty indicative of the overall market as well. I definitely have been wanting to get back into Tesla. It's just like I'm down on so much stuff right now, and I don't have a whole lot of cash on hand, so I'm trying to figure out what exactly I need to sell in order to buy it.
Just buy one share, just to say you're in. We rarely get this opportunity for big companies like Tesla.
I know.
To find out, like, I think it's kind of been brushed over and forgotten about that tweet, but these are huge events that typically you don't get access to, like, the announcement before the date.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think that's why it's kind of been forgotten, is because there was no date set. So if there was a date set, I think there would be huge anticipation, but we saw Battery Day, huge anticipation lead up, and I don't think the time to get in is waiting till AI Day.
Yeah.
I think the move is beforehand, and I highly doubt it's going to have a massive run after AI Day. So I'm excited. I got back into it. I had 2 runs in Tesla that did it really well on my public account. I got back in today because AI Day date, just the announcement. I'm playing the news of the date, not what actually happens on AI Day.
I like that. You said it was already a month ago?
Yeah,
already?
It was almost a month ago. It was June 21st, so essentially 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And he said a month or so. I got to imagine they announce it he says AI Day is coming in a month or so. So that's kind of weird because, like, they're going to announce it. How much time does that leave you? There's only, 3 weeks left 2 weeks left in July. So,
well, I will say Elon's timeline is always all over the place.
Yeah.
For the most part. So there is definitely that to consider as well. But so let us know what you guys think as far as that's concerned as well. Are you buying Tesla on AI Day hype? Let us know in the comments below. I see that there is 142 of you guys in here and 27 whole likes. I know that we have done a really bad job of reminding you to hit the like button. Like the like button. But if you are enjoying the stream, guys, make sure you hit that button. It only helps us out, helps us push this content out even further. Supposedly helps the algorithm. Who knows? But we like just having the thumbs up in there anyway. I think that's all I got, man.
Yep, that's all I got.
Guys, it is the last slow week, I think, of us kind of talking about stuff that is kind of going on in the market. Like I said, we talked about how things have just kind of been really noisy. There's nothing else for anybody else to talk about, so they're trying to find reasons to, I guess, sell or buy stocks in the market right now, and inflation just continues to be the topic. After this week, earnings season truly starts. I mean, yes, the banks reported this week, but earnings really start next week. And I think that's when a lot of excitement could start to happen. So stick around and hit that subscribe button if you're not already. Hit the notification bell because we're going to be live for all of those at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Thursday. And then we'll be here as well on Sunday for Stock Watch Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time.
We got Freddie tomorrow.
So you guys definitely want to be here for that. And if you guys want an extra access to Own the Chaos, you want access to my trades, my portfolio, all that good stuff, to our Discord as well, make sure you're hitting the join button next to subscribe and become part of the crew. It helps support the studio that you see behind us, the channel, and all that good stuff. And you get all kinds of crazy value for it. It is literally $4.99 a month, and you get access to a bunch of that stuff. So please hit the join button next to subscribe. We'd love to have you guys as a part of the crew. Fat Man Zoom, that's going to do it for me.
Bye.
Bye. Bitches. See ya.